It started with a group message and a careless whisper. The family chat had been unusually active all morning, photos of tropical beaches, excited emojis, hotel links. At first, I assumed someone was planning a trip and just looking for opinions, but as I scrolled back through the messages, a cold weight settled in my chest. It wasn't just any trip. It was a vacation, a luxury vacation, and it had already been booked. I glanced up from my phone to see my children playing on the living room floor, giggling as they built a crooked tower of blocks. I smiled at them reflexively, then back at the phone. Something didn't feel right. I tapped the message thread open, rereading the line that had made my stomach twist. Booked. First class, 5-star suite, ocean view just for the adults this time. No screaming or whining, just peace and cocktails. It was from my mother-in-law, Patricia. Another message followed almost immediately. Let's be honest, some guests are just unnecessary. Kids ruin the vibe. My fingers clenched around the phone. Surely she didn't mean my children. Surely. Then a third message popped up. A photo. Patricia, standing next to her suitcase, posing with a smug smile in her living room. Her hand was raised in a mock toast, holding a champagne flute already half full. My eyes zoomed in on the background, on the printed itinerary on her table. There was no mention of a family suite. No child-friendly activities, no theme parks. And then, clear as day, I heard her voice. Not from the phone, from the kitchen. She was here. I can't wait to finally enjoy something without the little gremlins. Patricia laughed, her voice muffled slightly through the wall. I told her the kids wouldn't be a good fit to Messy. Too loud. And she didn't argue. Thank God. My chest went still. I stepped closer, listening to her talk to her sister over the phone like I wasn't just 2 rooms away. I mean, what kind of mother brings her kids on a luxury trip? They're unnecessary. This is adult time. Get over it. A sharp sting of betrayal hit my ribs like a sucker punch. Get over it. This was my card she used. 3 months ago, Patricia had begged me for help booking a family vacation. She had said it would be for all of us something to reconnect after a rough year. Her credit limit had been maxed out from a kitchen remodel, and she asked if I could book it temporarily with my card and she'd pay me back in installments. I had said yes, because that's what family does. I didn't ask too many questions. I didn't pry when she insisted on handling the details. I was foolish enough to believe she meant us when she said family, not just herself and the chosen few. I leaned against the wall and closed my eyes, taking a deep breath. Her laughter still echoed from the kitchen. She was proud of herself, so proud she didn't even think to hide it. And that's when something cold and calculated clicked into place inside me. She thought there'd be no consequences. She thought I wouldn't find out, or if I did, I'd stay quiet like always. But this time, Patricia had made mistakes. She underestimated a mother's love, and she forgot who owned the card. Patricia hummed as she walked into the living room, heels clacking against the hardwood floor, like she was announcing her superiority with every step. She was wearing a silk blouse I'd never seen before, paired with high-waisted cream pants and gold jewelry that jingled delicately every time she moved. Her suitcase rolled behind her, sleek and matte black, tags freshly printed and flapping slightly. "Oh good, you're here," she said without even looking at me. "I won't be long, just dropping the dogs off at your neighbor's, then heading to the airport." She said it like she was doing me a favor, like this whole situation was normal, like I wasn't standing there, still reeling from her words. I studied her face as she smoothed her hair in the hallway mirror. Her lips curved into a smile that had nothing to do with warmth. Patricia was glowing. She believed she was about to float through security, SIP champagne in a first-class lounge, and spend a week lounging on sun-drenched balconies. She didn't even bother to ask if I wanted to say goodbye. She hadn't said a word to the kids. "Where are you going again?" I asked casually, as if I hadn't just heard her call my children gremlins. "Oh," she chirped, turning with a theatrical flourish. "Didn't I tell you? Oh well, it's a little place in the Maldives. Exclusive, adults-only resort. It was the last available suite, can you believe it? 5-star dining, private beach, full spa." I thought, why not treat myself for once? I smiled, nodding slowly. "And you paid for it all." She didn't blink. "Of course, my number one. I know your limit was tight after the kitchen remodel," I said, tilting my head. "Glad to hear it all worked out." She looked at me for the first time. I saw the flicker in her eyes, a flicker of suspicion, but she quickly recovered. "Everything's fine," she said. "I transferred it to your card temporarily, but I'll pay you back. You know how these systems are faster booking that way. I'll make the first payment when I'm back." "Right," I said, my voice soft. She mistook my tone for approval and gave me a pleased smile. "Don't worry, sweetie. I'll bring back souvenirs." The audacity. My children were just down the hall, completely unaware that their own grandmother had erased them from her version of a perfect vacation, that she had dared to smile about it, that she had used my card to make it happen. But Patricia was still basking in her imagined victory. She started posing for photos in front of her suitcase again, selfies. Side angles, duck lips. She even waved a boarding pass mockingly in front of the camera. I watched her upload it to her Facebook with the caption, "First class only. Finally some adult peace and quiet." The comments came in instantly. "You deserve it. Have a drink for me." I wish I could ditch the kids for a week. I didn't comment. I didn't need to, because she hadn't noticed yet that I'd logged into the travel account an hour earlier. She hadn't seen that the hotel confirmation had been voided. She hadn't seen that her flights, both of them, were canceled. And she certainly didn't know that I'd already contacted the concierge to revoke all access under her name. Let her smile. Let her post. Let her think she was about to step into a dream. Because when she reached that airport, when she handed over that boarding pass with smug entitlement, the fantasy would shatter, and I'd be right here with my unnecessary children, watching it all unfold. After Patricia left in a flurry of perfume and pearls, I sat down at the kitchen table and pulled my laptop close. My fingers hovered for a moment over the keys before I typed in the travel agency website she had insisted on using. It was easy enough to find the booking. Patricia wasn't exactly subtle. The login was saved from when I helped her with the original family trip, and within seconds, every detail of her adults-only escape was in front of me. First-class flights, ocean view suite, spa treatments already pre-booked, all charged to my card. I scrolled through the invoice, not even surprised to see her name as the primary guest. There was no mention of me, my husband, or the kids. Just Patricia and her equally snobby sister Diane, plus 2 of their retirement friends, who'd always treated me like a glorified babysitter. She had hijacked my generosity and turned it into an elite girls' trip. And all the while, she thought she was clever, like I'd never notice, like I wouldn't dare do anything about it. She didn't understand that I wasn't the same woman who used to shrink in the face of her judgmental smiles. I was the woman raising 2 brilliant, beautiful children. The woman who held her household together. The woman who didn't need to scream to be heard. And most importantly, I was the owner of the card. I clicked into the airline booking first. A few keystrokes and a quick phone call later. The first-class tickets were void. No refund, just store credit in my name. Let her try to argue that at the gate. Next, I moved to the hotel. The resort confirmed that the full balance was still pending final payment, set to go through that afternoon. How convenient. I authorized cancellation. The confirmation email came in seconds later. The suite was gone, the prepaid massages revoked, and the cabana rental erased from the system. If she called now, she'd be told there was no longer any reservation under her name or mine. Then, I went one step further. I called the concierge, the same one Patricia had bragged about in her messages. Hi. Yes, I said with a smile in my voice. I'm calling about the reservation under Patricia Monroe. I'm the card holder and there's been a breach of agreement regarding the booking. I've canceled everything, but I'd also like to request that her name be blacklisted from future reservations made using my account or card. The man hesitated only briefly before replying, yes, ma'am. I've made a note of that now. And one more thing, I added. If she tries to rebook under a different name or card, I'd like a note attached about the reason for the cancellation, and unauthorized charges and misrepresentation. The man was quiet for a second. Then, understood. I leaned back in my chair and stared at the blank space on the screen, where the itinerary used to be. Gone, just like that. I closed the laptop and walked down the hallway to where my kids were curled up with a book. They looked up at me, smiling, and I knelt beside them, kissing the top of each of their heads. Want to make pancakes for dinner? I asked. They cheered, and as I stood, flipping chocolate chip pancakes in a pan, I could already imagine Patricia at the airport, heels clicking on tile, dragging that overpriced luggage behind her, walking confidently to the check-in counter and handing over her pass. I imagined the look on her face when the agent told her the flight didn't exist, when she called the hotel only to hear that her name was no longer on file, when she realized sinking like a stone in her chest that everything she'd planned had evaporated midair, and when she called me, furious and humiliated. She would finally learn the lesson she so clearly needed. You don't exclude my children, not if you expect a single favor from me ever again. Patricia loved an entrance. She strutted into the airport in oversized sunglasses, a designer bag slung over her shoulder, and a wide-brimmed hat perched dramatically on her head. The wheels of her suitcase glided across the polished floor like she owned the place. A nearby couple paused to glance her way, and Patricia offered a smug smile, pleased by the attention. She was glowing, anticipating champagne, silk sheets, and not a single sticky-fingered child in sight. She didn't know that her dream was already unraveling. Her first hint came at the airline check-in counter. The attendant, a polite young man named Jordan, took her boarding pass with a professional nod. He scanned it, frowned, scanned it again, clicked something rapidly on the screen. Patricia cleared her throat. Is there a problem? Just a moment, Jordan said, eyes squinting at the monitor. Patricia folded her arms. I'm flying first class. Maldives, confirmation code. PLM for 596X. Yes. Mum. I see that. But it seems this reservation was canceled this morning by the card holder. Patricia blinked. What? The flight was canceled at 10:37 a.m., and the points were returned to the account associated with the card. That's impossible, she snapped. I booked this. No. Ma'am, Jordan said calmly. You are listed as a guest, but not the primary card holder. I demand you reinstate it. I'm afraid I can't do that. The silence that followed was deafening. Patricia's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Then she pulled out her phone and dialed my number with sharp, angry jabs. I let it ring, once, twice, 3 times. Then I sent her straight to voicemail. She texted instead. WH, why did you cancel my trip? Call me now? I knew you were jealous, but this is low. Then came the best one. I'll just rebook it myself. Good luck looking petty when I post new pictures from a better resort. I let out a soft laugh as my phone buzzed with her meltdown. I already knew she would try that. That's why I notified the concierge, the agency. Even flagged her name for unauthorized usage. There would be no 5-star resort. No fresh booking. No second chance to pretend she hadn't tried to erase her grandchildren from the equation. Meanwhile, back at the airport, Patricia pulled out her emergency credit card, lips pinched tightly together, and marched over to a different airline counter. 15 minutes later, she was seated on a stiff plastic bench, red-faced and fuming. The price for last-minute international travel had tripled. There were no first-class seats, left only a coach seat with 2 layovers, and even that required upfront payment and ID verification. The concierge she tried to charm into helping her rebook through the resort, not answering. The hotel, no record of her name. And the final blow. Her sister Diane called from home, confused. Why'd I just get an email that our reservation's been canceled? Patricia hissed into the phone. She did it. Diane paused. You mean your daughter-in-law? Wait, weren't you bragging that you paid for everything yourself? I told her it was temporary just to speed things up. Diane snorted. Wow. Well, good luck with that. I'm not flying coach. Patricia's face burned hotter than the Florida sun she was supposed to be sunbathing under. She stood there for a long time, lips tight, arms folded, while the reality finally set in. There was no trip, no glamorous week away, no peace, no quiet, no photos to post. Just her and the consequences she thought would never come. By the time Patricia finally left the airport, she'd abandoned her hat, her pride, and any hope of salvaging the trip. Her heels clicked with less certainty. Now, as she marched back toward the curbside pickup, dragging her bag like a defeated queen returning from war. And sure enough, my phone was already full. 7 missed calls. 4 voicemails. 12 texts, each one more dramatic than the last. How dare you do this to me? You embarrassed me in public. This isn't just about me, it's about family. You've crossed a line. Your husband will hear about this. And my personal favorite, you're ruining my relationship with my grandchildren. I didn't even bother to reply. Instead, I took a screenshot of the messages and sent them to my husband, Michael, with a simple caption. Your mother excluded our kids again, so I excluded her vacation. He called me 5 minutes later. I'm at work, he said, tone wary. But what happened exactly? I explained it calmly. The bookings, the exclusions, her calling our children unnecessary. Her smug packing and farewell, the bill on my card. And how? While she thought I'd roll over like usual, I decided instead that I was done playing the quiet daughter-in-law. There was a pause on the line. Then Michael let out a low breath. Wow. I had no idea it was that bad. I didn't say anything. She really said the kids were unnecessary? He asked, voice tightening. She said a luxury vacation should be for deserving adults. And she looked at me like I should agree. Another pause, then, good, I'm glad you canceled it. That surprised me more than I expected, you are. She's crossed too many lines. And I've let it slide. He said, but not anymore. She messed with her kids, our money, and you. She brought this on herself. That night, Michael came home early. He made popcorn, took the kids outside to play, and didn't answer a single one of his mother's calls. Patricia, on the other hand, spent the evening rallying her sisters, cousins, and random Facebook followers to join her side. Her post read, when a jealous woman ruins her Mill's birthday trip out of spite. Where is the respect these days? But what she didn't expect was the replies. A few of her friends commented predictable things, so sorry. You deserve better. And she sounds insecure. But then others chimed in, greater than wait, you excluded her kids. Greater than did you seriously call your own grandkids unnecessary? Greater than if the trip was on her card. Why are you playing victim? The comment section turned against her faster than a reality TV twist. Screenshots began circulating, including one where Patricia had messaged Diane. She owes me for raising Michael. Someone tagged Michael. By morning, her post was gone. But the damage wasn't. When Patricia finally got through to Michael the next day, he answered on speakerphone standing in the kitchen while I made breakfast and the kids colored at the table. Michael, I need to talk to you alone. She snapped, anything you need to say. You can say in front of my family. He replied evenly, she humiliated me. You humiliated yourself. He said, this isn't about a trip, Mom. It's about how you treat my wife and children. You want respect. Earn it. The line went dead a few seconds later. Michael turned to me and said, next year, we're taking our family on vacation. Somewhere quiet, somewhere warm, and without drama. I smiled. And first class. He grinned. Absolutely. Greater than I had to book it on her card or we'd never get the suite we deserve. Then someone tagged me. Patricia went radio silent for a full week. That should have been a relief. No manipulative texts, no guilt-tripping calls, no sudden visits with bags of passive-aggressive gifts for the kids she used to forget birthdays for. But anyone who knew Patricia knew silence. Wasn't peace, it was the deep inhale before the next storm. Sure enough, on Saturday morning, she showed up, not with flowers, not with an apology, but with a folder. Michael opened the door in gym shorts, mid-sip of coffee, and blinked at the sight of her. I'd like like to speak, she said, holding the folder like a courtroom exhibit. You can speak from the porch. I'm your mother. You're also the woman who called my kids unnecessary and stole a trip with my wife's credit card. She flinched but pressed on. I've drawn up a proposal. For future boundaries, you two need to be clearer with your expectations, and I'll consider accepting a compromise if it means repairing this family. I leaned around the corner, drying my hands. A proposal. She looked me up and down. Yes, I'm willing to forgive the cancellation if forgive. I laughed. You used my card, excluded my kids, and I'm the one needing forgiveness. You embarrassed me in public. You embarrassed yourself when you tried to brag your way through TSA in first class and didn't have a leg to stand on, literally. Michael stepped out and gently shut the door behind him, keeping her outside. No more games, Mom. No more fake gestures. No more manipulation. I just want to be included, she said. Tears now welling up, but we'd seen those before. Crocodile tears soaked in perfume and entitlement. If you want to be part of this family, Michael said quietly, you start by treating all of us with respect. That includes my wife. That includes my children. And that includes owning up to your actions, not rewriting them. Patricia stood still, lips pressed tight. For the first time, she looked unsure. You can go now, he said softly, but he handed the folder back. We won't be needing this. We already have boundaries. Patricia turned, stiff and silent, and walked back to her car. We watched from the doorway as she drove away. No hat this time. No smug sunglasses, no power in her stride. Inside, the kids giggled from the living room. The smell of waffles drifting through the air. Michael slid an arm around my shoulders. You handled it. No, I said, resting my head against his chest. We did. That summer, we booked a real vacation. Just the four of us. A beachfront villa, matching swimsuits, board games under palm trees, and laughter that didn't feel filtered or careful. No exclusions, no insults. Just family exactly as it should be. And Patricia? She watched it all unfold through carefully curated Instagram posts. Every photo was tagged with joy and full captions like, nothing unnecessary here. Grateful for every little laugh and Sandy. Footprint. Some trips are better because of who's invited. She never commented, never liked a single one, but she watched. We knew she did, and that was enough.